Underground cities. Underground cities. Table of contents. The naked mole rat is one of many types of animals that live underground. Introduction. You've probably heard about animals that live underground. Ants, moles, groundhogs, and prairie dogs are just a few examples. But did you ever hear of people living underground? People around the world have lived underground for hundreds, and in some cases, thousands of years. In some places, they still do. Visiting some of these places reveals many different reasons for choosing these unusual dwellings. Residents may have been seeking protection from enemies or weather, an affordable way to live, or simply more living space. Whatever the reason, underground cities are found all over the world. This carved rock interior of a cave house is found on the 4th floor underground in Derinkuyu. Ancient cities. Derinkuyu, Turkey. The Cappadocia region of central Turkey is known for its ancient underground cities. More than 200 multi-level underground cities have been discovered in the area. One of the best known is Derinkuyu. This ancient city was carved into the soft volcanic rock that is common in the region. This city includes caves and other land features that were first formed naturally by wind and water. As a result, archaeologists have no way of knowing exactly when it was built. Building Derinkuyu was an amazing feat of engineering. The city was at least 11 stories deep, though only 8 stories have been excavated. Thousands of air shafts made breathing possible at the deepest levels. Scientists say that in order to construct the city, the original builders must have known a lot about engineering. A local Cappadocian resident accidentally discovered the city while breaking through a wall to expand his own cave home in 1963. Because the rock is so soft, the pillars needed to be very strong so the tunnels wouldn't collapse. This approach worked well because no evidence of collapses has yet been found. Derinkuyu had room for about 20,000 people, as well as their food and livestock. Stone doors weighing 454 kilograms, or 1,000 pounds, could close off the entire city from the inside, and each floor could be closed off from the other floors. Evidence suggests that Derinkuyu was built underground to hide people and supplies during invasions. The city included homes, stables, storage rooms, a school, and a supply of fresh water. A tunnel 9 kilometers, or 6 miles long, connects Derinkuyu with Kaimakli, another underground city. City of Caves, Nottingham, England. Another ancient city lies beneath the streets of Nottingham, England. The city of caves was carved into sandstone so soft that the material can be shaped with simple hand tools. Unlike Derinkuyu, it didn't use existing caves, but instead was cut into solid rock. This ancient city has close to 500 caves, all of which were carved by hand. Polish salt mine. The world's most unusual salt mine lies deep beneath the ground in southern Poland. The town of Wieliczka was founded in the 13th century to mine nearby underground salt deposits. Over the centuries, the miners created dozens of carved statues, as well as chapels and a huge cathedral out of rock salt. The salt mining ended in 1996. Evidence suggests that people lived in the city of caves from as far back as the 11th century until at least the mid-1800s. The people of Nottingham used the caves as homes, work areas, and cellars. One area, called Drury Hill, was once a wealthy neighborhood but turned into a slum by the 19th century. Poor families lived in single-room basements, some of which still remain today. These underground living areas were so overcrowded that diseases spread easily. During World War II, 1939 to 1945, people used the caves as their raid shelters when England was bombed. In the late 1960s, work began on a shopping center above the caves, which were going to be filled in with concrete. After the public decided against it, the local historical society arranged for the caves to be declared an ancient monument. As a result, most of the caves were preserved. They have been open to the public since 1978. Nottingham Castle sits on top of the underground city of caves. Modern cities. Coober Pedy, Australia. A remote area of South Australia contains a mine with some of Earth's greatest treasures. Coober Pedy produces more opals than anywhere else in the world. These unusual gemstones are valued for their changing colors. Opals have been mined in Coober Pedy since 1915. Because of the extreme summer heat, as high as 40 degrees Celsius or 104 degrees Fahrenheit, many miners live in homes carved into hillsides. These cave-like homes, called dugouts, cost about the same to build as above-ground homes. However, because the temperature underground stays constant, residents don't need air conditioning in the summer or heat in the winter. Homes aren't the only structures built underground. The town also has subterranean shops, museums, and churches. Coober Pedy attracts people from around the world. Visitors can tour a working opal mine, learn about the history of the area, explore underground homes, and dig for opals. During their visit, they can even stay in an underground hotel. This opal is like those mined in Coober Pedy. The underground motel near the opal mines in Coober Pedy, Australia, welcomes visitors year-round. Julie Knight, a resident of Coober Pedy, has this to say about subterranean living. Living underground is better than normal housing. There are no windows in any of the rooms except along the front. Windows are usually kept to a minimum because of our climate. The more windows, the more heat. All rooms have a small air vent to allow natural air circulation. Since hot air rises, it all goes up and out. Do you know? The name Coober Pedy comes from the Australian Aboriginal words Kupa Piti, which means white man in a hole. Originally a one-room home, Faye's historic underground house was converted into a full house, including a swimming pool. The temperature is a constant 23 to 25 degrees Celsius, 73 to 77 degrees Fahrenheit year-round, so there are no heating or cooling costs. One room has an air shaft that lets in a circle of light. Other rooms are pitch black until you turn on the light. Older dugouts in Coober Pedy were dug by hand with a stick. Some residents leave the pick marks on the walls as a reminder of how hard it was to dig there in the early days. Others paint their dugouts, usually white, to make them brighter and lighter. There is very little dust inside. Dugouts are soundproof, blocking out traffic and neighbor noise. I think I'm pretty lucky to be living in such a unique home, so full of character. A semi-truck drives along 11.3 kilometers or 7 miles of paved underground roads in Subtropolis. Subtropolis, Kansas City, Missouri, United States. Lying below the World of Fun and Oceans of Fun theme parks in Kansas City, Missouri, is a different kind of world known as Subtropolis. Subtropolis calls itself the world's largest underground business complex. Originally a limestone mine, the enormous underground space is now rented out to a variety of businesses for storage, manufacturing, printing, and other purposes. The complex is completely protected from the outdoors, so its tenants never have to worry about rain, snow, ice, wind, or other rough weather conditions. Even though the employees don't look up and see the sky in Subtropolis, the interior is painted white, which makes it seem light and bright. Underground temperatures and humidity are constant. As a result, businesses use roughly 1/4 of the electricity that they would above ground, and there's no problem with moisture buildup. Because of this minimal use of electricity, one tenant calls Subtropolis truly environmental friendly. Also, due to the constant climate underground, many treasures are safely stored in Subtropolis. These include millions of U.S. Postal Service collectible stamps and old, original film reels from classic movies and TV shows. Dover Castle. The first tunnels under Dover Castle were built in the 13th century for soldiers to launch surprise attacks on invading enemies. During the Napoleonic Wars, 1793 to 1815, 7 more tunnels were added to accommodate up to 2,000 troops. The tunnels were used as recently as World War II as a military command center, pictured above. They are the only underground barracks ever built in Britain. Underground shopping around the world. Many places around the world have large underground districts. Here are some. Vincom Mega Mall, Royal City Top in Hanoi, Vietnam, is an entertainment complex as well as an underground mall. It contains over 600 shops, a water park, an ice skating rink, and game centers. Instead of a food court, it has a food street with roughly 200 restaurants. Okhotatny Ryad in Moscow, Russia, is a 3-story underground shopping mall that connects to a subway station. To protect neighboring buildings during construction, the station's walls were built above ground and then lowered into the ground. Japan's largest underground shopping district is the Umeda Underground Mall in the city of Osaka. The mall connects with several subway stations next to hotels, banks, and high-rise office buildings. A giant red Ferris wheel sits atop a 9-story building. A world view: underground cities and shopping centers. Future underground cities. Although many underground shopping areas exist around the world, no new large underground cities are being built today. However, individuals in many countries are building subterranean homes. Underground dwellers say that their homes use less energy, cost less to maintain, and offer more privacy than above-ground homes. Because of skyscrapers, today's cities seem to be growing up toward the sky. In the future, they may instead grow down. Glossary.